Stand by momentarily. I want to get Triple B in here. That's Bad Bob Bianchi. Now, Bob, before I go to you, I want to cue up a soundbite for you. All right, I want you to listen to this soundbite, and then I want you to react to it and tell me what you think.
He basically told me his father was murdered, so I felt incredibly awful for him, as a normal person would. Something that I found a little odd is that he sent me the police report in Austin of what happened. Everyone grieves differently. It didn't seem to faze him. Just the overall absurdity of the situation is just bizarre.
So, Bob, people often talk about how people grieve, and just talk about that from an evidentiary perspective. I mean, people do grieve differently when they see or learn that someone else has died. Is that right? So what does that mean to you?
Well, you're right, Joey, and it really depends a lot on the kind of grieving and whether or not it makes sense to the police. And we used to try to expend ourselves, go backwards and say, wow, this story sounds really squirrely. It doesn't sound right, but maybe they're grieving. Maybe they're just not getting it right. But sometimes you just have that instinct that says, something's not right here. Like, for example, a ripped up note that has a diagram of a crime scene, on it potentially, and CIs that are then coming forward and indicating information that only the people who are perpetrating the crime could know, and then the police later backing that up with objective evidence that shows the CI was being accurate. So this is what you try to do.
CI is a confidential informant.
Right.
And those are people who may have inside information that work with the police. Right. And when you say we used to do something, you were a former prosecutor, correct?
Sure. Right.
You were the prosecutor.
That's right. And with the CI, you've got a confidential informant. You have to be very careful. They have motivations a lot of time to lie. They can find out information through the press. But I have pretty good confidence here that they would not have gotten an arrest affidavit, probable cause affidavit, and gone forward on third parties that they believe were tangentially involved if they didn't believe they were in fact involved. But again, as the lawyers say, we have to wait for that evidence to be proven in a court of law.
Always do. Tony Plahetsky, are you still here with us?
I am.
Tony, if I could ask you, what's the most compelling piece of evidence that they have now, if we know, as it relates to Nick and as it relates to Mr. Leone?
Well, law enforcement have really, according to what they have told us, assembled a trove of information, if you will. We're talking about text messages that were exchanged between he and people he, according to law enforcement, was soliciting to carry out this murder.
Are you talking about Nick, Tony? I'm sorry. Are you talking about he is in Nick or he is in Johnny Leone?
I'm talking about he is in Nick.
Okay.
As well as information with regard to him accessing the security system at his parents' house, disabling it for a period of time around the time and the immediate aftermath of the murder. So authorities really have described a trove of information against Nick Shaughnessy in this case.
And quickly, Bob Bianchi, based upon, we know his mother's standing by him, right? Does that mean anything to you in this case?
No, it doesn't. It's not unexpected that family members are going to support, even if somebody's done a horrible thing. That happens all the time, Joey.
Absolutely. And going back to the